GTA characters do not age well at all. Take my man Packy McCreary, for instance. Rockstar really knows how to take a not half bad looking character and make them look really, really ugly. Today we're going to be taking a look at 5 GTA characters who appear in 3 or more GTA games. So it's no secret that GTA characters make cameos in other games sometimes, but most characters are usually confined to 2 Grand Theft Auto games. There are only 5 characters in GTA that appear in 3 or more GTA games. One of these characters actually appears in 4 Grand Theft Auto games. So if you enjoy the video and you learn something new, well, please give it a thumbs up if you feel it's worthy of that. 2,000 likes would be amazing. Now, I do want to say that I've made videos covering every GTA 4 character in GTA 5 before, but that aside, we're not talking about those characters because none of those characters obviously appear in 3 or more games. Speaking of that, the GTA 4 protagonists do not count because yes, there are 3 episodes to GTA 4, meaning, hey, they're in 3 different games, but that's in the same time frame. They don't age at all, so they don't count. Packy McCreary doesn't count. He appears in GTA 4, GTA 5, and GTA Online, but we're going to say GTA 5 and GTA Online are the same entity for this video. Laszlo Jones, well, he's heard on the radio in almost every Grand Theft Auto game, but he only appears in GTA 5, so he doesn't count as well. And lastly, Claude. Claude appears in GTA 3 and San Andreas. He's not the same Claude from Grand Theft Auto 2, and in GTA Online, he's simply just a parent model, so that's not the same Claude, or our character would only be like 13 years old. So with that said, let's take a look at some GTA characters who don't age very well at all. First up, we have Phil Cassidy. Now, Phil Cassidy appears physically in 4 Grand Theft Auto games, and to my knowledge, he's the only GTA character to actually do that. And we see a crazy transition of his character and looks from 1984 to 2001. So over the span of 17 years, he actually has 3 different voice actors throughout the GTA series. In Vice City and Vice City Stories, he's actually voiced by Gary Busey, a pretty well-known actor. So starting off in 1984, Phil Cassidy is introduced to Victor Vance through Sergeant Jerry Martinez. Now, Phil is actually Jerry's gun dealer, and at the time of Vice City Stories taking place, he's having some trouble with the local cholos. So, through Jerry, Vic meets Phil and does some work for him, takes out the cholos, and through Phil, Victor actually meets Phil's younger sister, Louise, who, fun fact, is the mom to the only baby to ever appear in Grand Theft Auto. Now, Phil's got a really bad drinking problem. However, for a while in Vice City Stories, he does sober up. The drinking is probably why his character has changed so drastically throughout the Grand Theft Auto games. But at the end of the game, once his sister is killed, he does start drinking again. That brings us to 1986, where Tommy Vercetti actually hires Phil Cassidy to pull off a bank robbery. After this, Phil invites Tommy to work for him in exchange for some weapons and firearms. Tommy kills Phil's rival gun dealers who are causing him trouble, and a drunken Phil after this invites Tommy over to celebrate. This is where Phil shows Tommy a boomshine bomb that he has set up, wired to a remote detonator, but when trying to show it to Tommy, the remote doesn't work the first time. Phil exchanges batteries, and, well, the bomb goes off, and it blows off Phil's arm. So this is where this character gets a crazy transition, which is actually going to transition us from 1986 to the year 1998 with Liberty City Stories. By this time, Phil Cassidy has relocated to Liberty City, where he owns a gun store, and in Liberty City Stories, he only makes a brief cameo as a weapons dealer. And lastly, in 2001, where we see a crazy transition of Phil Cassidy's appearance, we actually work with Phil to fight off the Colombian cartel members who tried to extort weapons from Phil. Now, interestingly enough, fun fact, in the mission where Phil blows off his arm, during the cutscene, he blows off his right arm. But after the cutscene and in every other Grand Theft Auto game, Phil is missing his left arm, so that's kind of a developer error there that was left in the GTA games. Next up, we have Salvatore Leone, who goes on to appear in San Andreas, Liberty City Stories, and GTA 3. And I know there's somebody out there saying, hey, it's Salvatore Leone, not Leone. So I'm just going by what's pronounced in-game. But anyways, in 1992, Salvatore had just taken over the Leone family in the late 1980s after a power struggle. And he's actually working in Las Venturas now at the Caligula's Palace Casino. And he befriends CJ, whom actually worked in a car theft ring for his son Joey in Liberty City between 1987 and 1992. And Joey, we actually do missions for in GTA 3, which is pretty cool knowing that CJ also did missions for this guy. So after a while, Salvatore trusts CJ enough to have him fly to Liberty City to take out Mauro Forelli, who owns St. Mark's Bistro. However, after this, CJ was a partner in the rival Triad Resort, and because of this, Salvatore finds out that CJ was involved in the Caligula's Palace heist. He then threatens to kill CJ and anyone close to him, but he never carries out these threats and moves back to Liberty City, which takes us to 1998, where Salvatore is introduced to us by welcoming us back into the family after we were hiding for 4 years. We work our way back up and we earn Salvatore's appreciation by getting back turf from the Sindaco family, extorting enemies, and ambushing the Colombian cartel for Salvatore. After a while, though, Salvatore is forced out of Portland by the Sindaco and Forelli families. He becomes super paranoid. There's a 3-way mob war going on that he's trying to win. Salvatore goes to jail, rigs some elections, he's found not guilty, and then he all but makes peace with everything that's going on in between the families, his own family, and the mob wars. Now that brings us to the year 2001, where Salvatore sees great potential in Claude, until he finds out that his wife likes Claude. His wife is Maria Latour. This causes Salvatore to set up an assassination attempt on Claude, which Maria warns us about, and under the orders of the Yakuza, Claude actually assassinates Salvatore Leone at 66 years old. Next up, we actually have Maria Latour, who is the wife of Salvatore Leone. Now, she's a very, very young gal who appears in San Andreas, Liberty City Stories, and Grand Theft Auto 3. Now, she actually comes to meet Salvatore in 1992 while working as a waitress at Caligula's Palace, where she obviously meets Salvatore, and between 1992 and 1998, she marries him for his money after being in a relationship with him for a while. Then in 1998, well, the marriage is on the rocks by this point. Things are not going good. Maria is addicted to drugs. She's always bragging about how she cheats on Salvatore, and she even attempts to sell Leone family secrets to a reporter. She's always getting into trouble. She also hits on Tony Cipriani, but he declines her every single time before she turns it around on him saying, "Hey, leave me alone. I don't like you. You don't have any money." Just implying that she's only with Salvatore, this really old dude, for his money. Which brings us to the year 2001 in Grand Theft Auto 3, where her relationship with Salvatore and the marriage is still at rock bottom. She's obviously only here for the money at this point, and Maria actually tells Salvatore that her and Claude are an item after like one mission. This is obviously what prompts Salvatore to try and kill Claude, which obviously Maria warns him about. Well, Maria goes on to actually get kidnapped by Catalina, who demands a $500,000 ransom, which Claude pays. But he is betrayed by the Colombian cartel, who then steals the money. Chaos ensues, where Claude follows them to the dam, destroys the helicopter, taking out Catalina, and rescues Maria. After this mission ends, Claude and Maria walk away with Maria talking about their relationship. The screen fades to black, and then you hear a gunshot, and she stops talking. Now, this is a very ambiguous ending that Rockstar has touched base on in 2009 and 2011, basically both times saying, who knows what happened, leaving it very open-ended. Up next, we've got 8-Ball, who I actually mentioned in a video last week talking about how every GTA is connected, but 8-Ball appears in 3 different Grand Theft Auto games, the first being 1998 with Liberty City Stories, where in this game, all he does is sell explosives to Tony Cipriani to destroy parts of Fort Staunton for Donald Love, and he appears in just 2 different missions and a phone call in Liberty City Stories. Now, in the year 2000, with the game GTA Advance, we actually see the return of 8-Ball, who we actually return to after the death of one of our friends. He helps us dispose this body and get revenge. We get ambushed, and this is where 8-Ball burns his hands and tells us to leave him. He'll be fine. He'll fend for himself. Obviously, we know that's not the case because he's injured, and he goes to jail, which brings us to 2001, just a year later in Grand Theft Auto 3, where at the beginning of GTA 3, obviously 8-Ball is actually in the prison convoy with us. He helps us kind of get back on our feet after we escape, but he's got some burned hands, which is actually explained in GTA Advance. He introduces Claude to Luigi, we buy some explosives from him, and that's actually it. We never see 8-Ball again. And lastly, we have Donald Love, who I made a dedicated video on just a few days ago. You can check it out. Link is in the description. So I'm not going to spend too much time on him, like I said, being that we have a dedicated video. But he is one of the few characters who does make a cameo in over 3 GTAs, and we get to see him kind of transition age-wise in his different looks. So he appears firstly in 1986 as a protege to Avery Carrington. Then in 1998, he moves to Liberty City, becomes a corrupt businessman, loses the campaign for mayor of Liberty City, and he goes bankrupt, which brings us to 2001, where he causes a gang war to drive prices down after killing Avery Carrington to steal the properties that Avery owns in Liberty City. He builds new properties here, becomes very rich, and then he just disappears. Alright, well, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Those are 5 GTA characters who appear in 3 or more GTA games, and some GTA characters who don't age well at all. If y'all enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. A little love goes a long way. If you want to subscribe, man, that would be awesome as well. Consider that. You better. That way you never miss out on another video game upload. And with that said, I'm Zach Cox. Thank y'all for tuning in. I love you all, and I hope to see you in the next video. Oh, God damn. Fucking scratch in my throat.